Mike Moore Media, the first place to hear Rockingham County news and information.
George Murphy, Wentworth Town Administrator, is on the media line. Hey, George, welcome back.
How are you doing, Mike? Good to talk with you.
Always good to have you on the program. Well, bring us up to date. I'm looking at your agenda for the council meeting next week and some other things here, so I know we'll talk about that. But
of course, we're going to continue to meet remotely this time.
Yes, it looks like it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
that
the
worked really well for us last time. Yvonne did an excellent job in researching it and getting everything set up, and I thought it went very smoothly.
Yeah, I watched it. It looked good.
Oh, you actually watched it?
I most certainly did. Yeah, I did. I did not doze off at all.
Oh, that's good to see.
Yeah.
We do have the town council meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, June the 2nd. And it will start at 7 o'clock p.m., and we are going to be doing that on Zoom. And as we did in the last meeting, anyone who wishes to address the Wentworth Town Council shall submit their comments by email to townhall@townofwentworth.com. And you're asked, if you're making comments, to provide your name, address, and the topic of your comments. During the approval of the agenda portion of the meeting, anyone who has submitted comments in that manner will be added to the public comment section of the agenda. And if anyone has indicated that their email that they wish to be making comments about a specific agenda item, their comment will be read prior to any action or vote taken by council on that agenda item, too. And it's a way of allowing folks to, continue to participate with what's taking place there with the public comments, and we got some during the last meeting, and it was good to have, and nice to know that people were out there and observing and keeping up with things on that. So,
sure, yeah.
So folks will tune in. You can go to the town's website, which is www.townofwentworth.com, and there's a link there where you can actually come in. I can't remember if it's Facebook Live or how it is that you can actually watch what's taking place live during the meeting. So the opportunity is there for folks to tune in and also to participate in that.
Yeah, okay, excellent. Good. Well, we'll do it again. Sure.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll keep you awake as well.
I will try not to doze off.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Keep it going. All righty. I drove by just the other day. The park is looking great.
It's been coming along real well, but, of course, last week's weather and then what's happened this week so far with the rain has kind of put a literal and figurative damper on things.
Yeah.
They are back out today doing some things, and we do have, matter of fact, not too long after our talk this morning, we have a construction meeting with everybody together, and we'll talk about progress, and there's some questions that I need answers to so that I can advise town council on that. And, but anyway, we'll see how things are moving. The contract allowed the general contractor, which is S&S Construction, a 6-month window, 180 days, to complete the project. And, of course, it takes into consideration the potential for weather delays that could push it back. And if we are able to get it completed within that window, that would mean that the park would be completed by latter part of August of this year. But weather delays can come into effect, so it could be somewhat later than that. And I'm sure I'll get an update on how we're looking with that. They monitor the weather and keep up with what interruptions that they have. We've also run into, any time you do construction, and especially any time that you start going underground, you can run into issues that are not anticipated. And I know that we had spoken before. The park is including a playground area, a covered stage area, a picnic shelter area, and public restrooms. And the restrooms are planned to be connected to the Rockingham County sanitary sewer system.
Right.
The sewer line runs on the opposite side, the other side of NC 65 and 87. So that requires that you be able to do a bore under the highway and to be able to connect the sewer line. And we had an alternate. We had a property owner that was nearby that heard we were looking at doing the park and adding, and we worked out a contractual agreement with that party and to move where the line would run under the road, and instead of using what the park would require, which was a 4-inch line, we would use a 6-inch line, and then it would allow for that property owner also to connect in and have service. And the location of where the bore was to take place was moved. The way that the contract read, because this would have been an additional cost to the town, that property owner was responsible for any additional costs that were involved there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the subcontractor who was doing the bore got out there and started looking, and with all of the infrastructure that was running under the road and in the right-of-way, and with, at that particular point, the relatively shallow depth of the manhole at that location, they discovered that there's no way to get the sewer line through there at that point.
Oh, wow.
So that's another item that will come up for discussion today during the construction meeting. The manhole that's across directly from the park, which was in the original plan, has a much greater depth. And the hope and belief is that they can bore underneath all of that infrastructure at that location. And then there's another location that's further southeast of the original alternate that also is a possibility. So the engineers are looking at those and trying to figure out what will be the best thing. But that has delayed that aspect of the job too. Mm-hmm. But again, I took I think my last semester in graduate school, I took a course in facilities that's come in handy for a variety of different issues.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the things, this was before UNCG was getting ready to do a lot of construction there, and of course they've done a heck of a lot even since then. But the guy that came in from UNCG was talking about any time you go underground, you never know what you're going to run into, and you better be prepared for some surprises. So this is one, but not totally unanticipated, but we'll work through it. And we've got, with the architectural firm with Alley William Carmen and King, and the town has had a history of working with S&S. We even worked with S&S on the renovation of the Wentworth Community Center, which is where the post office is now located. Mm-hmm. And they got the contract on that one as well. Had a good working relationship. They have good people with them, and so I'm looking forward to resolving those issues.
Yeah, as is the homeowner that wants to have the service too. Yes. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I hope it all works out for everyone.
I think it will. It's just going to take some effort there.
Okay, very good.
And, of course, that's in the old business there as far as an update, because I need to let council know that that's coming. I guess the really big item for me on this one is the proposed budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a lot of uncertainty about as for all municipal and even county governments, as far as what revenues they're going to have coming in. The town of Wentworth, as we have talked about before, does not levy a property tax. And we do receive a distribution based on per capita of the state sales tax. Mm-hmm. And the county government has two methods that they can use in distributing that. One is per capita, the other is ad valorem. Ad valorem is based on the property tax that you charge, you levy.
Right.
But the county government has for years and years and years and years, and I think they've looked at alternate on that, and they have stuck with doing the per capita, per person count. And that, the projections usually that you get from the North Carolina League of Municipalities and other entities usually does a good job of predicting what the coming year will look like economically and what revenues will look like. And of course, it's a kind of a guess, but it's a very educated guess.
Mm-hmm.
The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown a wrench in those projections.
Definitely.
And initially, when the league published its document that it sends out each year, which is a projection for state collected local government and tax revenues, it came out, I think, in March, early March,
mm-hmm.
and they already were aware, of course, of the pandemic, and they were expressing somewhere in the area of maybe a 10% reduction in sales tax revenues at some point in time. That's ballooned to an estimate that's ranging anywhere from 25. They've even touted that it could be as high as 35%.
Wow.
That's the primary revenue source for the town of Wentworth.
Mm-hmm.
So consequently, that can have a real bad effect on your what your source of revenue will be. For the town, the utilities franchise tax that we receive, the alcoholic beverage tax that we receive, and that's staying fairly stable, that we think. But the sales and use tax is one of our principal sources on that.
Yeah.
We've, working with Yvonne, who's the finance officer / clerk, we have devised a budget that is taking a 25% cut in sales and use tax. But the thing for the town, one, the town does not provide a tremendous number of services. We contract with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office for our law enforcement. We contract with Rockingham County Planning, Zoning, and Central Permitting for that aspect. We've worked collaboratively with, even with the Rockingham County Sanitary Sewer System in the past, and we've worked collaboratively with Dan River Water and with our volunteer fire department. So we don't provide a tremendous number of services. We do help out with different areas on that and do contract. But we also, the town has traditionally maintained a very healthy fund balance.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to tap some funds from that fund balance for the next fiscal year. And we still don't know exactly how everything will pan out. We're anticipating that we're probably going to have a year in the 2020-2021 fiscal year where we do quite a bit of budget amendments,
mm-hmm.
and it may be necessary. It could be that the receipts from sales and use tax are better than what's anticipated, or it could be that they're worse. But the town is sound, financially sound.
Mm-hmm.
We can weather this storm for quite some time. I've forgotten exactly what, even with the construction of the park, we have kept the fund balance very, very high.
Great.
So the other element within that, though, and it's something that's related to this time frame, is the census is taking place. And I think North Carolina as a state, overall, I think the figure that I've heard is that they've only had like a response rate of about like 56%.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Did a program yesterday. You're right on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And see that the town is receiving its distribution of sales and use tax based on per capita.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Having an accurate count of population for each of the municipalities and is essential for that, because that goes into figuring with the state demographer as they're going to use that data to kind of do predictions and projects. And then it also comes in for county and municipal governments when it comes to federal funding and everything there. So, if people have not taken care of getting online or filling out a paper form for the 2020 census, I really urge them to do that, because this is an area where it makes a difference for how local governments can take advantage of or benefit from, having accurate counts there.
Yeah, it is
Not only in representation, but also in those dollars.
Yeah, it is very, very important. The program I did yesterday